Great to be on this event. So let me quickly share my screen and then start presenting. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being at this event. Today, I'll be presenting on the topic securing hybrid workforces in the age of SaaS. I know there are a couple of buzzwords out there, but I'm sure all of us have become quite familiar with these buzzwords in the midst of the pandemic. So two things are evident, right? So whether there is a pandemic going forward or are we out of it, irrespective of the scenario moving forward. So hybrid work places are here to stay, and the adoption of SaaS is here to stay. So while there are significant benefits with both of them, they pose significant threat from IT operations, security operations perspective. That's what we call today explosion of SaaS. Explosion in SaaS adoption is leading to implosion in IT operations. And that's what we help you orchestrate at Zluri. So, but before getting into the solution, I just wanted to give a quick glimpse of the problem out here, right? So if you pick up a mid-market organizations, what I mean by that is companies between employee size of 100 to 1,000 employees. So these are some of the statistics that you can see. There are close to 190 SaaS applications that are in play on an average, and close to $7,300 being spent on an per employee basis. But the challenge here is, while there is significant SaaS adoption, 70% of these tools that employees consume are unknown to IT. So people can today go in and buy tools using their corporate credit cards, personal credit cards, all of that. While leaving aside the financial implications of it, there are significant security risks that these applications bring into the organization. There are tons of applications that exist within your organization which are unknown to IT teams and security teams, which we call the shadow IT today, right? So that's the quantum of the problem. And out of these 190 applications that are used on an average, close to 30% of these SaaS licenses are underutilized or unutilized as well. So there is security implication, there is financial implication as well. So while I leave the negative effects for a later point of time, but what I also want you to look at is the fact that as number of employees increase in an organization, the problem with respect to IT operations and security operations also compounds. So these are some of real numbers that we see based on real data. In a company with 288 users, there are close to 185 applications which are in use. For a 2,000 employee company, there are close to 288 applications in use. While you see the numbers there, if you look at the people to app connections, so if I'm one of the employee or a user, I'll be having access to 20, 30 applications, and the same with other employees as well. If you aggregate all these people to app connections, there are close to 4,046 connections in a 200 employee company and 21,000 connections in a 2,000 employee company. So these are, each connection that you see out here is a potential security vulnerability, a point of data leakage, a point of what all the attacks that we spoke about in our earlier presentations. So how do you secure these in a hybrid environment where people are accessing devices from their home computers, from their personal devices, from different locations, and they're not operating on corporate networks anymore? So how do you secure them? How do you secure your SaaS ecosystem? How do you secure your technology ecosystem? Becomes a big question mark for companies today. And this is how the posture looks like from an IT perspective. So in the past, in the world of on-prem systems, so the entire technology consumption was centralized, right? So you want to purchase Oracle, you want to purchase Microsoft, all these tools, they are done centrally. But in the age of SaaS, we see three major islands getting created within organizations. The first major island is the managed IT. These are centralized tools being procured by the IT, like the age-old, age-old times of buying on-prem systems. So it can be Slack for your organization. It can be Microsoft O365 deployment for your organization. These are org-wide tools that are centrally procured and deployed by IT teams. That's the first island, which is the managed IT, which is still managed by the IT teams. The second island that we see emerging in organizations is the unmanaged IT. These are tools purchased by the respective departments. It can be HubSpot for marketing. It can be Mix panel for the product teams. So any of these tools, they are not procured by the IT teams, while IT has a little bit of visibility into it, but these are procured by the respective departments because they understand these tools better, and they are in a position to evaluate today with more and more G2 Capterra, all these reviews coming in. So and product-led growth coming in. So they have ways to evaluate these tools. They have their own respective departmental budgets, and they're not breaking the bank to buy these tools. So if you want to get in any of these tools, $50, $60, $100 per user, that's what they pay. So it well falls within the budget of each of these departments. So that's why there is a second island of IT that is getting created, where IT is being purchased and managed by the respective departments, which is classified as unmanaged IT today. And finally, you have the third island, which is the shadow IT, where individuals are going in and procuring a lot of these tools. Just swipe your card, you get in a tool, and you put in all the company data into the tool, and you start running with it, right? So as you move from managed IT to shadow IT, one thing which happens is the visibility and control for the IT teams goes down significantly. And as you go towards shadow IT, the IT teams have no visibility, no control on these applications. So now, how do you secure something which you don't have visibility and control on, both from an IT perspective, security perspective? So that's where there are these new breed of tools that have come in, which is the SaaS management platforms that Zluri offers today. So what we essentially do is we remove the islands from within your organization. We get you 100% visibility onto your tech stack to begin with, right? So what you discover is what you can secure. So we help you discover 100% of your technology stack. So that's the unified IT that we bring in. The second is contextual common visibility, right? So as a finance team, you need to know how are the spends within your technology ecosystem. As a security professional, you need to know how secure have these deployments been done. Whether you would have purchased, individual could have purchased a Dropbox, or sales team could have purchased Salesforce or HubSpot or any of these tools. From a security team perspective, they need to have clear answers on what are the security threats that are coming in because of a certain tool purchased by an individual, certain tool purchased by a respective department. Getting that contextual common visibility across teams and answering critical questions that each of teams need to have is something that we provide through the platform. Third is role-based control. So while you have this entire technology stack in place, so depending on the role that you are playing, so you need to have the right level of visibility. If you are an individual, you should have ability to tap into your technology stack and make the most out of it. How do you get visibility into what tools do you have in your sales stack? What tools you have in your marketing stack? Getting that visibility, requisitioning the licenses, and getting access immediately, that's going to be important. If you are in your HR team, you should be in a position to onboard, offboard your users on one single click. Today, you can't do it because the SSO systems that are in place within organizations do not give you visibility to 100% of your technology stack, which also includes your shadow IT. So as a HR professional who's taking care of onboarding, offboarding of employees, so you are not in a position to onboard, offboard users. So which also brings in the security angle to it. People leave organizations, still have access to devices. So how do you enable that? Through role-based controls, giving them the right visibility, giving the right set of accesses across your technology stack. So these are all the possibilities that a SaaS management platform enables organizations with, and that eventually leads to exponential ROI, one from savings perspective, one from protection against security threats, operational efficiencies, time efficiencies. So these are various benefits that a SaaS management platform brings in and provides exponential ROI to organizations. So in the world of SaaS, as I said, discovery is foundation to security, right? So without you being able to discover 100% of your technology stack, you can't secure your ecosystem, irrespective of the method that you use, irrespective of the technology that you use. So you won't be able to secure it. So now the fundamental step is to discover, as I said, right? So how do we do it? So today we have direct connectors with over 700 odd applications, most popular software applications today, through which we connect directly with the application and get you the information in terms of how is this application being used, utilized by the employees, what license are we in, what files are being shared, so what access levels are there on these applications. We are able to pull out all this information, and we connect with your SSO, we connect with your ERP systems, expense management systems. What we are doing here is we are speaking with the source of truth. So in hybrid work environments today, so people access devices outside the network. It can be your spouse laptop, it can be your you're at your friend's home, you're able to access all these applications, right? So you are not connecting to the networks. The traditional protection mechanism, the traditional security methods, where you are monitoring the network traffic, deploying gateways in your network, so all of them are not going to work. So the only way you can get the security posture pertaining to a certain application is by directly speaking to an application. So that's what we enable you to do. And that's where we fetch the data and provide 4 broad modules. One is helping companies discover the overall technology landscape within your organization, manage the users, manage the licenses on a real-time basis, optimize it, secure these applications, secure the content, secure the data within your organization, and finally bring in a lot of automations. So if you are IT, if you are in security operations, so it's not you protecting the ecosystem alone. So you need to collaborate with IT, you need to collaborate with HR, procurement, finance, all these teams to bring in the best-in-class security posture for your organization. So bringing in those automations on one single click and making your organization secure is what we enable you to do through the SaaS management platform. So while these are all the platforms that we connect with and get you the information, we have 5 different discovery methods through which we discover 100% of your technology stack. The first one is we connect with your single sign-on systems. It can be Okta, any of the single sign-on systems that you have. Second is we connect with your finance and expense management systems and look into what are the tools that people are purchasing. So there is an AML model sitting behind this. We read into your statements, we understand what sort of applications are being purchased and surface these applications and make sure that the shadow IT gets detected as you are expanding your technology stack. Third is, as I said, we have direct integrations with 700 odd applications at this point of time. All major SaaS applications, we get very, very granular information on the security posture from these applications and give you the visibility on what's happening in your ecosystem. Fourth is we have a desktop agents. So these are options. So which sit on your desktop. So there are obviously, while we talk about the world of SaaS, as organizations are transitioning from on-prem to SaaS, which is happening very, very rapidly at this point of time. So again, from an ecosystem perspective, if you are an enterprise company, I'm sure there are there will still be on-prem systems within your organization, perpetual licenses in your organization. How do you manage these? How do you aggregate these licenses along with the cloud applications and SaaS applications that you have? That's what we achieve through the desktop agents that you see out here. And finally, we have browser agents through which we are able to detect any new application that is entering your ecosystem on a real-time basis. So these are the 5 discovery methods, by far the most powerful discovery engine on the planet today. So through which we are able to discover 100% of your technology stack. So once we discover these technology stack, these are the 4 dimensions in which we help you. As I said, discovering the usage utilization. Second is managing user lifecycle management, license lifecycle management. Third is the security side, where we go deep into threat identification, monitoring, and detection of how are the files being handled, how is data being handled, are the right permissions provisioned across applications when you connect one SaaS application to the other application, how is the compliance looking like on a real-time basis, governance and risk compliance. So that's on the security side. Finally, on the automation side, how do you enable one-click onboarding of users? How do you ensure one-click offboarding of users? How do you ensure that the data is not getting lost? Today, we see people leaving organizations and still carry access to CRM systems. Forget about the advanced security, the basics where the CRM system access need to be terminated when they leave the organization. Today, companies don't have ability to do it. So that's what we enable through these automations. And that's broadly the various modules that we offer on the platform. Before I leave you, what I'll do is I'll give a quick glimpse on how does the platform look like and what sort of features and functionalities are available from a security and compliance perspective, and how do various companies use this platform today. So as you can see, during my presentation, I was talking about different islands of IT existing in your organization. So the entire 100% of your technology stack is detected by Zluri through the 5 discovery methods that we spoke about. And you can see something called needs review. This is your shadow IT. So these are all the applications that are not approved by your IT team or the IT team doesn't have visibility to. We are able to detect it. There are, in this demo instance, there are 561. It's not uncommon for us to see such a huge number in this particular category. And you can see all the applications in here. You can go to each and every application, understand who is using this application, who are the users within your organization using this application, what is the spend looking like, when is the renewal coming up. And from a security and compliance perspective, you can also see what are the various events that have happened pertaining to this security events that have happened pertaining to this application, what sort of data that is getting shared by this application. Today, each of our applications are connected to multiple other SaaS applications through the open APIs that are available today. And when these permissions are requested from the users while they're making these connections, people don't read what sort of permissions that they're provisioning. They just click on next, 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 right? And then we enable the connection. And oftentimes we provision riskier scopes like write scopes, which give access to some of the critical data to spurious applications. So how do you avoid it? So we identify those vulnerabilities as well, and identify those critical data that is getting shared, and identify that who's the user who is doing it. And you can take immediate remedial actions right here. And you also get to see real-time compliance data. So in case you are SOC 2 Type 2, you need to be SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, GDPR compliant, so on and so forth, depending on the industry and the geography that you operate and sell in. So we provide you real-time compliance data for your entire technology stack. If you have to be SOC 2 compliant, the tool set that we are using has to be compliant as well. So how compliant is your technology stack? For each and every tool that we identify, we are able to provide you this compliance data. So today we have a library of close to 250,000 applications for which we provide this compliance data, and you can download immediate reports on compliance, non-compliance, and then take remedial actions. And we also have real-time security probes running on various security parameters, and this becomes your one-stop dashboard through which you can look at the security posture of your organization and take necessary action. And at any point of time you want to run a scan after taking a remedial action, you can do it right here. We have Security Center, where you will be able to see all critical applications, riskier applications, what is the risk level at your organization, what is the threat level looking like, and who are the users who are causing this, bringing in this risk into your ecosystem. You can see that, and what applications are they accessing, which is leading to this particular classifying them as critical users. You'll be able to see here, and you'll be able to take immediate remedial actions. And finally, this is our integration center, where you'll be able to see all the applications. You can connect directly to any of these applications that you see here, and monitor the security posture on real time by speaking directly with the application, and not by using third-party, second-party sources. And finally, the workflow automation is in here. So this is where you can run workflow automation, set up templates, and onboarding, offboarding, and make sure that the access is getting terminated for the right applications. Access is being provisioned to the right applications during onboarding, or when role movements happen, you can take control of your entire access controls from here, who's having what access, what level of access, and what tool access within your organization across managed IT, unmanaged IT, and shadow IT from one single dashboard. So with that, I'll end my presentation. Happy to answer any questions. Feel free to drop us a note. Again, we do a proof of concept for you. So in case you want to try this out within your ecosystem, happy to help you out. Thank you, everyone.